Hi, my name is Rosanna. I'm the Go-fer girl, and today I'm going to teach you how to professionally wrap a gift. We're using a big box today, not only because it's easier for me to demonstrate to you and for you to see what I'm doing, but also because I've got a big stack of clothes here that need to go in one box. It's always nice to have a really good, sturdy box, and the best way to make those sturdy is to either tape with packing tape or staple your flaps down. Well, it's gonna take another one. There we go. So that it doesn't cave. You see how it's caving in on this side, but not this side? That is going to make the biggest difference in making nice, neat ends down here when you are wrapping. You won't get that bunched up, bulky look. When you use a staple, make sure that the smooth side is on the inside. You don't want clothing or anything to get snagged on those. We've got a big box right here. I'm going to switch from that over to a standard size shirt box, and you'll see why here in just a moment. I am not going to wrap this like this. I'm going to wrap it this way. And the reason why is it's going to save you paper right here. To just see how I need to have just enough paper to come up halfway on this side. You see that? Just halfway. I'm going to go a little bit longer, a little bit more, and then about there ought to do it. Since I don't have grids on this paper, I've got double-sided, so the best thing I can do here is just use the edge of my table as my reference for straightness. And neat little trick. When you have paper that does not have grid squares or is double-sided, make sure the tension on this side of your roll of paper is tight, and then you can use that to make your straight line. So as long as you stay close up against the roll, you've got a fairly straight line. There we go. Turn your box upside down. Okay, here's the bottom. All right, and you're gonna fold, maybe if you were using ordinary paper, you would fold maybe 2 squares. I'm flying kind of blind here, so what I'm gonna do is use a reference point. Here, it's the bottom of the tree trunks, the Christmas tree trunks. So I'm gonna fold all along to the very bottom of those tree trunks so I can make a straight line. I want it to be nice and straight. And you'll see why when we're done. There we go. Okay, upside down box. Here's my fold. And now I'm gonna just sort of nestle my box into that fold. I've got it nice and tight, pushed up nice and tight into that crease, okay? And it fits right along that edge. And now I'm gonna tape it down. You really only need one piece, but the bigger the box, the more tape you're gonna need to hold that little edge down, okay? I'm gonna come over, fold it over, and we're gonna have a little bit extra, but that's okay. It's such a small amount, we really don't need it. You can take a moment to cut that off if you want, or not. What I prefer to do to save time is just make a crease right here and then fold that crease under just like that. And now you can use double-sided tape to make this completely seamless, or some transparent, the ultra clear tape. If you're buying the 3M brand, look for the red plaid. The gift wrap tape, the purple one, is nice, but it does not disappear as clear into shiny foil paper. It's a matte finish, and for shinier paper, you want the clear transparent tape, the old school stuff from the 80s, okay? So taping down here, get nice and smooth. Okay, now we're gonna go to the ends. This is where having those stapled flaps inside the box makes all the difference. Okay, so you see how I'm kind of pushing in right here and creating little flaps, little triangles? You want to make those nice and sharp 90-degree angles, okay? This is the bottom of the box. You can see where I folded that, taped it down. Now I'm going to tape this down. I'm going to make a nice sharp crease here and tape down like so, okay? And now I'm going to make sure that these corners, triangles, are nice and flush, and I'm going to fold it up, make a nice crease. I'm going to turn it over. There is my finished end. Now, it's a raw edge, meaning it's where I use scissors to cut. If I don't feel like cutting a very straight line, I can fold it under like that, and now I've got a finished look. And you can use double-sided tape there, or again, clear transparent tape. I'm going to use clear transparent for ease. So you can see here, this is the wrapping all the way around. The only way you know that it's a seam is because the pattern has changed, but otherwise it is virtually seamless, okay? This is the bottom of the box, and I'm going to fold in nice and tight, okay? See how those are at perfect 90-degree angles? I'm gonna tape that down, okay? And now I'm gonna fold that up, make a nice crease there, flip it over. And let's see, that's a little bit jagged from the cut, so I am going to fold it over. This is the same piece of paper I used earlier. Fold it over and give it a nice clean look. Take that down, smooth that down, and there you go. Now before I tape this down, I should have checked to make sure that my placement here is going to leave me at least halfway up the box. It's going to, I'm going to have paper coverage at least halfway up the box. And you can see that I do. I don't want too much more than halfway because then I'll end up having to cut it off later. So I've got more than half. I can tape down. Okay, go like this. Bring it back around. Okay, so now we are going to tie this up with a bow. Now because my pattern is running from side to side, I want to be sure that I make the bow accordingly, wrap it up with ribbon accordingly. So I've got some ribbon here, and this one's a satin. It's a single-sided satin, and not a very good brand, I might add. I bought it online, and I'm not crazy about it, but that's why it pays to buy your ribbon in person. Okay, so here's the shiny side, there's the dull side. I'll do that again. Now, I've snipped my ribbon so that it comes roughly to the edge of the box. It's gonna give me some little tails here, okay? I'm going to kind of tie that up just a smidge. Now, because I've got single-sided ribbon, I wanna make sure I don't make this bow with the rough side out. So I am going to make my first loop. I have a little tail here, okay? And I'm gonna create the second loop at the end of that tail. I don't know if you can see that very well. Got it? Okay, so now I just keep running the ribbon around the outside of the previous loop because that's the shiny side. So I've got 2 loops here. I've got 1, now 2, 3, and 3. And I'm going to snip where the loop ends, right there, at an angle, make it look nice and pretty. Now this is where making a bow gets very easy. This is just the most beautiful trick I ever learned. Fold this in half so that your loops are even there. Okay, you're going to make this nice and flat and snip off the corner. So now you've got an angle right there. Can you see that? I'm gonna do it again, right there. And so now when you unfold it, you've got a bow with a nice little notch on the top and the bottom for tying up. So that when you set your bow inside the tie right here, make a nice, and hold that bow down with your left thumb, or if you're right-handed, I'm sorry, if you're left-handed, do it the other way around with your right hand, and tie a knot around the center where it was notched. Double that knot so it doesn't slip away, especially because this is satin. You're gonna pull apart your loops, okay? Fluff them out, twist, actually, you're gonna twist. 1, 2, 3. Now, a trick my grandmother taught me, she was a florist, is you make your bows in groups of 3 loops on both sides. So single, looped, 3 loops, 5 loops, and on. The bigger the gift, the more loops you need, obviously. And because this is satin, it's kind of like sliding around, and that's really bothering me. So I'm gonna take a big piece of tape here and tape it down in the back where it cannot be seen. And so now it may wiggle a little bit in the front, but it's secure in the back. Or if you really bothers you, you can lift up your loops here and put a piece of tape across right there. That will help as well. So now you've got a pretty little bow. Okay, so you want to make a wired ribbon bow. I'm not a huge fan of wired ribbon, mostly because when you've wrapped as many gifts as I have throughout the season, your hands become really, really dry, and it never fails, those teeny tiny little wires poking out on the ends. You can see them right there. I hate those little guys. End up underneath your fingernails, and they hurt. All right, so I've got my ribbon here. And I want this end to reach the end of the box. I really need to make this tighter this way though. Got it there. Now I'm going to move this down to here and again to the end. All right. I have wire cutting scissors because I don't like to run my regular paper scissors. All right. And as for scissors, I like to buy mine in the 3-pack from Costco. I love them. I swear by them. Okay. You've tied your ribbon in a knot there. And that's where we're going to put our bow here in just a minute. All right, so it's single-sided. So I've got to pay attention to which side is out. So I want my loops to be, I guess, about that big. Okay, that's the size of my loop. I'm going to pinch here in the middle. And let's make sure that those loops are the same size. And I'm just going to keep going around the outside of my former loops because, again, it's single-sided, so I need to make sure that the nice side is always facing out. That's 1, 2 loops, two on this side. Yep. Okay, so I've got 3 loops on each side. I'm going to make the final cut right here where it's at the end of the other loops. Okay, now we're going to fold this in half this way so our ends are even. All right, now you can do one of 2 things. You can either make a little snip on each side, okay, going maybe about 1/4 of the way in, or you can make a triangle. You're gonna snip off a triangle there off the side. You can do it either way. Just don't go too far into the center on wired ribbon. I don't know why. It gets floppy really fast, and I guess that's because it doesn't have any wire support there in the middle. Now you're gonna set that in to your knot. I'm gonna tie around like so, because you've got that notch there in the center, so you're gonna be able to tie it real tight without the bow looking funky. And now you're gonna separate your loops. Now, of course, the fuller the bow you want, the more loops. I typically don't do really fancy bows on my packages. I should have made those loops a little smaller, I think, because this looks a little big. But anyway, now I'm gonna make sure that my ends are nice and angled. I don't know if you can see that there. Now you have a package with a pretty bow. All done. Let me know if you want tutorials on any other aspect of gift wrapping. Till then, happy wrapping.